an opportunity to share my views on some topic which I loved for definitely more than last 25 years, and which really had very sparse opportunities to be with such august audience. Well, I'm indebted to Mother Piyush because she gave me an opportunity to serve her in the capacity of president last year. And that's why I'm standing here. Otherwise, who is Dr. Nishikant Shrotri? Of course, I must express my gratitude to the President, Dr. Bharti Lore Patil, the General Secretary, Dr. Milind Dugar, and Clinical Secretary, Mangala Vani, and all her team who have bestowed this honor on me very honorably. Well, huge global challenge is gender equality and elimination of the gender bias. This is not only the problem of India, but this is a problem all over the world. May it be a backward country like Cambodia, or may it be number one forward country so-called is US, or Australia, or Japan. Everywhere this gender bias does exist. Now, this gender bias or gender equality, I said this is a huge kaleidoscope. This kaleidoscope shows us the different designs of the matter inside which are reflected by the three walls. And this design, when they are so merged, it all depends upon how you look at those designs. How you turn the kaleidoscope, you will get a different design. And then, like a human mind, we choose the design that we like. And we say, oh, so beautiful, this is a perfect kaleidoscope. Now, the three reflecting walls of these kaleidoscopes are technological wall, a legal wall, and a social wall. The technological aspect of the technological wall is formed by scientific knowledge. And in this particular issue, I say the medical knowledge and the medical science gets a greater toll in this technology, though the other fields are there. But from this platform, I have to choose the medical knowledge and medical technology as a greater tool. And the scientific tools for that are detection of the sex of the fetus or embryo and to terminate any pregnancy. Unfortunately, such technology has been misused by some for female-specific abortions. And that's why the legal aspect has to intervene. And this has intervened in 1994 in the form of the Prenatal Diagnostic Technique Act. That is the PNDT Act, now modified as the PCPNDT Act. Well, though it was put forward in 1994, it came in action in 1996 all over the world. But let me tell the august audience very proudly that Maharashtra had started implementing this act, its own act, in 1988 only. Since that, we are with this PNDT Act trying to prevent the fetal sex discrimination, trying to prevent the female-specific abortion. Well, my friends, I am proud to be Indian. I am proud of my own Bharat Mata. This Bharat Mata has given so many acts to empower women and to give a good status to the women. But I am not going to enumerate all those acts. It is beyond the capacity of the time to enumerate even those acts. But let me tell you, my friends, our previous Director of Health Services, Dr. Suresh Gupta from Nagpur, has written a fantastic book on all the acts for the women. I urge you to have that book with you and go through that. I have it. It's a really fantastic book. But here I'd like to just mention few. There is Sati Prohibition Act is there. The Dowry Prohibition Act is there. Child Marriage Prevention Act is there. Window Remarriage Act, Domestic Violence Act, and many more acts are there. And now we have got the PNDT Act or PCPNDT Act. I feel this Act, PCPNDT Act, is above all these acts. You say why? Because they are working on this? No. It's because all these other acts, they give opportunity to the woman to live respectfully and get empowered. The PCPNDT Act is an act which gives a woman an opportunity to have a birth and have her existence itself. If she is not having existence, if she cannot come to the birth, how she is going to empower? And that's why I say these acts are the crown in the legal department. But PCPNDT Act is a feather in cap of all, feather in this crown. Well, this PCPNDT Act has many aims which are there. All of them, they are pointing towards a main thrust, and that is to avoid female-specific abortions. Based on all are there. But I would like to bring the attention of this audience to one specific one, apart from the female-specific act, and that is to elevate the social status of the female. Now, is this elevation and all these acts they have come, have they achieved what the PCPNDT Act was supposed to achieve? Well, I'm very sorry to say that we have not. There is a demographic imbalance that is still going on, and hence the UNICEF report mentions, the Rupa Bakshish has said that in India, the rapidly declining sex ratios are turning into a demographic nightmare of frightening proportions. Of frightening proportions is really a word that frightens you. Further, she adds that despite the efforts of government, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, UN agencies and the media to keep the issue of female feticide high on the public and policy agenda, little or no desired results have been forthcoming. This is what the UN report has said. How true it is. If you see this demographic nightmare in India, how this nightmare is continuing. See, in 1901, there were 3.2 million fewer women than men in our country. Within 100 years, this deficit has increased, multiplied 10 times. And now, the deficit is 35 million women in 2001 census. I have taken 2001 because it is 100 years, very easy to compare. The most disturbing decline is seen in the age group of 0 to 6 years. The 0 to 6 years is considered because 0 tells you at the time of birth. Well, you might be thinking that probably the nature has given the equal opportunity to both at birth, both of them are equal. It is not so. Even at birth, without any intervention, the female ratios, females are around 974 to 1,000 males. This is because the nature's strategy, the male is a weaker sex. to survive against the odds. And that's why the male are born a little more. As you know, the frog lays so many eggs, very few of them they really give it properly. So the most disturbing decline is seen even in the age group 0 to 6. And the 0 to 6 is considered again because within that period we do not expect the migration. With the migration, the ratio goes on altering. And the sex ratio within this age group, you can see, has plunged from 10, that is 1010 in 1941 to 927 by 2001. That's why this is really a demographic nightmare in India. Now these are the other figures which I'll just show you. I'll run through these slides very fast. The concerns are in India, if you see, from 1991 to 2001, India, Punjab, Haryana, you take any state and there is a definite decline. Further if you go, Maharashtra state situation, 91, 2001, 2011, 2013, again there is a decline except in 3 states you see, which are the southern states, Satara, Sangli and Kolhapur, where there is a trend now. From 2011 to 2013, there is a trend of increased female proportion. But rest of them are decreasing a lot. Now the nation-wise, if you see the state, this is a very busy slide. This is the half slide, the other half is coming next. I don't want to go through this, read all these things. But if you see all this, what does it tell? That except from Kerala, the Indian census 2011 state-wise shows that Kerala represents the highest sex ratio with 1,084 females per 1,000 males, while Haryana, one of the richest states in our country, it represents the lowest sex ratio in India with just 877 women per 1,000 males. So, with this, recognizing this particular nightmare, recognizing the importance of the trends emphasized in the census 2001, the Planning Commission of India incorporated gender equality as an integral part of the broader strategy. But the question remains, why is this happening?
Fibers are common, but reporting is, I think, not that simple. You need to label the fibroids 1, 2, 3, mention the sizes, location, anterior, posterior, frontal, the character of the fibroid, submucosal, neural, or subserosal, and most importantly, the figure type. The figure type is in this paper, which is all of you must be aware of it. So the figure type is 0 to 8. There are 8 types. So we need to mention also the figure type. And so this is how we do the reporting: fibroid, the diameter, the location, and the figure type. We do a raw diagram to illustrate how the fibroids are placed. And if there are submucous fibroids, in this case fibroid number 1 and 2 are submucous, then we should also do what is called as the Lasmer score. Lasmer score. So this is a Lasmer score for fibroid 1 and this is a Lasmer score for fibroid 2. And they what is this Lasmer score? It helps us in deciding the surgical approach, whether hysteroscopic or laparoscopic. It helps in anticipating the complexity of hysteroscopic myomectomy, and it also gives us an idea of whether we'll be able to complete hysteroscopic myoma resection and estimating the amount of fluid deficit that may occur. And this Lasmer scoring is based on 5 parameters, as it is called STEP W: S for size, T for topography, E for extension, P penetration, W all. So we give scores on basis of these various parameters, and we total up the score, and the total score gives us an idea of how what kind of a treatment is necessary, whether hysteroscopic or laparoscopic, or whether it be 2-stage procedure, or whether it be complex hysteroscopic myomectomy, or whether GnRH analogs are going to be useful. So this kind of an assessment can be done. So far as endometrium is concerned, we all use a very loose kind of terminology in describing the endometrium, and some of us don't have any terminology at all. But now it has been standardized by International Endometrial Analysis. This is a well-known paper. They have used 5 parameters to describe the endometrium: thickness, echogenicity, midline, endometrial diameter junction, and the Doppler. And they have prescribed a lexicon for using terms for describing the endometrium, and they have defined all those definitions. So we use terms like uniform endometrium, non-uniform. If it's non-uniform, then we have uniform background, non-uniform background, and echogenicity can be triple line, hypoechoic. So they define all these kind of. So we should try and use the terminology in order to describe the endometrium. Whenever we are saying that measuring the endometrial thickness, we need to measure the widest part, the thickest part of the endometrium, not any just arbitrary area. And we should not measure the fluid. If there is fluid, then we have to measure these two separately. If this is 1.5 and this is 1.3, we will call it as 2.8, and we will disregard the fluid. And if endometrium is thickened asymmetrically, anterior and posterior portions are separately, our thicknesses are different, then we should measure those thicknesses separately. Sometimes we are not very sure as to where the endometrium starts and where it ends. The outlines are not defined, so we can't really measure the endometrial thickness. And so we should say that endometrial thickness is not measurable instead of imagining where the endometrium might be. And this is a practice which is should be done and which is encouraged. So if we can't measure the thickness, we will say endometrial thickness not measurable. Endometrial polyps are usually not a problem. They are well-defined lesions, hyperechoic usually, and in this case it has been very easy to see because of the fluid which is present in the endometrial cavity. But critical assessment is required. For example, this particular hyperechogenicity in the endometrium, should we report this or should we just disregard this? And then using a power Doppler, directional power Doppler, this is, we can see a pedicle which could not be seen on color Doppler. Directional power Doppler is more sensitive for picking up flow. Now, so we need to report this, so critical kind of an assessment and reporting is necessary when we look at the endometrium. Any lesion in the endometrium is detrimental in the context of infertility for implantation. Small polyps, endometrial hyperplasia, small cysts, thin adhesions, assignment calcifications, all should be reported because the embryo is only about 200 microns. Even a 4 millimeter polyp is like a mountain as compared to the embryo, and these can hinder implantation. Thin endometrium, chances of successful implantation, as we know, are low for thin endometrium. And now, for example, this is an endometrium which is 2.7 millimeters on day 13. This is an endometrium which is 4.5 millimeters on day 11. Now, do we report this endometrium differently? Yes, definitely. Why? Because this has got a triple line pattern, whereas here there is no triple line pattern. There is non-uniform thickness. There is an irregular endometrial myomical interface. So this is likely to be COX, the one on the right side. We need to rule out COX here, whereas this thin endometrium is likely to be due to a hypoestrogenic state. So the morphology of the endometrium is going to help us there. There is something called subendometrial osseous metaplasia. We should be aware of this entity. It is bone in the endometrium, which acts like an IUCD, prevents conception, and hysteroscopic evacuation can allow the patients to conceive after that. It is not bone left from a previous MTP, it is bone formed in the endometrium. Ovaries. Now, location of the ovaries is variable, and we know that we have to look around the iliac vessels. So this is the iliac vessel here, this is an ovary, this is an iliac vessel, this is an ovary. Often we don't know how to look for the iliac vessels, but I'm just showing you an image as what image to try to get in order to detect ovaries if you're not able to get them. The normal appearing structures can be sometimes puzzling. In this case, you have these hyperechoic round structures, and they will last for a month or so, or years, and they are corpus albicans. Measurement of ovarian volume, you freeze a section where the ovary looks the largest, two measurements on that, then turn the probe 90 degrees and one measurement across. So we can, but we should not measure it when there are large follicles or anything present of this kind. If there is a lesion in relation to the ovary, the sliding sign will help us distinguish one was the para-ovarian lesions from the ovarian lesions. This looks like a follicular cyst, but if we do a sliding sign, then you can see that it is actually a para-ovarian lesion. So sliding sign is useful here. The chocolate cysts are not a problem. Decidualization of chocolate cysts can cause the appearance of a borderline ovarian tumor. Then what is this here, this movement here? This is filarial worms in the broad ligament near the ovary. Just a minute more. Now, ultrasound appearances in the tubal salpingitis, halosalpins, pyosalpins. Now, acute salpingitis are thickened tubes, chronic are thin tubes, hydrosalpins, and pyosalpins are tubes with a lot of echoes inside. So that's the pyosalpins. Abscesses need to be separated from malignant masses because of the vascularity. And we should not forget sliding test to complete the OBGYN. So if you press the back, while doing TVS, if you press suprapubic, you should have a free movement of the fundus, and the rectum should slide, or the uterus should slide over the rectum, whereas this is a frozen pelvis on the right side, where there is no movement on pressing on the, in the suprapubic region. And again, this is, and second way of doing the sliding test is push the TVS probe inside and withdraw it. The posterior wall should be seen to slide with respect to the rectum, anterior slide with respect to the bladder. Here you can see that there is no slide whatsoever. So this is a frozen pelvis which we can completely miss on if we don't do the sliding test. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the post-constitution. I am going to talk on the neonatal perspective of pertussis and the big concern which is in the obstetrician. Does neonatal pertussis exist? That's number one. And is it, if it is there, do we need to give a vaccination to the mothers when they are carrying to prevent the neonatal pertussis? So I think if you look at what main question says, that there are very few medical subjects that have generated so much controversy, even outright contradiction, as pertussis. And over the last 3 decades, pertussis has become even more contentious and more controversial issue, not only among the other faculties, but even the pediatric faculty at large. Pertussis is still a little understood disease overall. It has an understanding of its diagnosis, its management, and of course prevention. Pertussis is fascinating, important, and challenging disease for all clinicians, immunologists, epidemiologists, and the policymakers across the globe. Despite it has been prevented by effective vaccination, which is available now even in our country over several decades, still it is among the top 10 causes of under 5 mortality across the globe. Experts still debates on the basic characteristic of the disease. Why does the cough in pertussis last so long? How does the duration of immunity after infection differs from that of vaccination? Because they say you give a vaccination to pertussis and the antibody response to pertussis decline after 6 years, which doesn't happen with natural infections. And to what extent does the herd immunity exist? The optimum strategy for improving the control of pertussis remains uncertain. Even in the countries where immunization with pertussis has been there, it still happens in those countries. It remains underdiagnosed because the only way we diagnose pertussis nowadays is persistent hanging cough and the leukocytosis which we see in the peripheral peritoneum. And the robust data for disease pattern still remains sparse. Having a detailed understanding of its diagnosis, management, and prevention, of course, is the key for pertussis. If you look a little bit on the microbiological aspect of pertussis, it's commonly called as whooping cough or dandakopla in Marathi. It's highly contagious disease caused by Bordetella pertussis, which is a gram-negative bacteria. It is usually spread by droplet infections through nasopharyngeal discharges from infected persons. The only reservoir known today are the humans. Pertussis affects all the age group right from the birth till the last day. Pertussis is highly contagious disease in an immune-naive population. For every 1 case of pertussis, there could be around 12 to 17 new cases. The reproductive value for pertussis is as close to measles and it's more higher than the other infectious diseases like mumps, polio, rubella, or smallpox. If you look at the statistics available of real incidence of pertussis, in 2008, a decade back, roughly around 1,50,000 cases were reported. However, the WHO estimates that pertussis affects around 16 million cases every year, and for every 1 case, approximately there are 100 evidences of recent infection with pertussis. And what we see in our practice is just the tip of the iceberg. If you look at whatever scare data which is available from our country, and as such there are no surveillance program for pertussis, there are more than 30,000 cases of pertussis. And believe me, the way we diagnose pertussis is more clinical today, or looking at the peripheral adversia where we see leukocytosis, which is mainly lymphocyte predominant. And actually in the individualized country, it's more of a throat swab we take and they do the PCR estimation. And I think the diagnosis in the developed country is far more robust than what it is in our country. India tops today in the world as far as pertussis cases goes. Now, who is at risk of getting pertussis disease? It's infants, it's the adolescent age group, and the adults. So it is going to affect all the age group. Now, what is the disease burden of neonatal pertussis? There is a small literature search which showed that Arunachal Pradesh had